Welcome to Tualatin's 2024 State of the City Breakfast. Join us as we review the progress towards the City Council's 8 priorities of 2023.
Only 25% of Tualatin residents rated the availability of affordable quality housing as excellent or good last year. In addition, only 50% rated the variety of housing options as excellent or good. The City Council is committed to doing our part to address housing affordability. In 2023, Community Partners for Affordable Housing broke ground in South Tualatin at Planbeck Gardens, Tualatin's first ever permanent affordable housing development. Additional developer-led housing is moving forward, including Autumn Sunrise. The commons on the Tualatin apartments were completed, including a long-desired trail connection along the river.
Transportation remains one of Tualatin's highest priorities, and the city is continuing to tackle it on multiple fronts. Tualatin moving forward, a $20 million transportation bond passed in 2018, wrapped up at the end of the year with 36 projects built across the community. Those changes have begun to improve some of the residents' transportation concerns, but there are still opportunities for improvement. Work is currently underway to update the Transportation System Plan. The plan will identify projects, policies, and programs to meet the community's transportation needs now and in the next 20-year horizon.
The Parks and Trails bonds passed by voters in 2022 were sold in 2023. Projects are already underway, including field lighting at Community Park and a new picnic shelter and play equipment at Tualatin Park, as well as new play equipment at Durgans Park. Las Casitas Park, formerly known as Stone Ridge Park, was renamed last year after extensive outreach to the community. Funding is secured to fully reimagine the park, and we expect construction to start next year. At the Lake of the Commons, Veterans Plaza construction has begun, with hopes to finish the project before the Pumpkin Regatta this fall.
In 2023, the City Council created IDEA, or Inclusion, Diversity, Equity and Access Advisory Committee, and appointed 12 individuals to serve staggered terms. They are just getting started, and we look forward to the great things they will accomplish. We all know the West Coast Giant Pumpkin Regatta, where our team also hosted Blender Dash, Viva Tualatin, National Night Out, summer concerts, and the Tualatin Light Parades. Not to mention the hundreds of programs put on throughout the year by our library and Juanita Pole Center. Share the Love, the hunt for hidden hand-blown hearts in Tualatin parks and trails, had a successful year in 2023 and grew from 150 hearts to over 400 this year.
With the beautiful Tualatin River forming the northern border of the city, it's no surprise that we want to do all we can to protect our environment. The city is committed to taking climate action, and over the last 2 years has conducted extensive research and engagement to build the city's first climate action plan. The draft plan is available now. Last year, the Water Master Plan was adopted, and we are nearing the end of negotiations with the City of Portland for our wholesale water contract. And in partnership with Republic Services, the city launched a curbside composting program for Tualatin residents who live in single-family, duplex, triplex, or fourplex homes.
In addition to our major projects, our team conducts annual maintenance on our many city assets, including roads, sidewalks, and our water, sewer, and stormwater systems. We have put together a multi-year capital improvement plan to prepare and budget for major capital investments in the community. We also made several improvements to the library this past year, including upgraded self-checkout machines and new carpet, with more to come.
The city's financial position remains strong, and businesses continue to locate and invest in Tualatin. The City Council is considering several code updates that would impact businesses. Topics include food cards and zone changes to allow more flexibility for commercial businesses. In the last few years, the City Council created an urban renewal area in South Tualatin called the Southwest and Basalt Creek Development Area, and in downtown Tualatin called the Core Opportunity and Reinvestment Area. It takes a few years for funding to accrue from tax increment financing, so projects are still a few years out. With support from staff and the City Council, the Latino Hispanic Business Networking Community are meeting monthly to hear presentations and network.
We continue to develop our Spanish language content on our Somos Tualatin Facebook group and Tualatinos listserv. Our library also stocks content in other languages, including many materials in Spanish. In addition to our ongoing community engagement work, we're developing project-specific plans to guide our works in areas like transportation, parks development, library, climate action, and more. Last fall, we asked residents to complete the National Community Survey for the 5th time since 2010. Results are now available on our website. We've been busy here in Tualatin. Let's keep the momentum and keep moving forward. Thanks for joining us for this year's Tualatin State of the City Breakfast event.
Thank you all for coming. Good morning. Just kidding. I'm Eric Schmidt, and I'll be the MC today. My great pleasure to introduce the mayor of the city of Tualatin, the Honorable Frank Bubenik. Mr. Mayor.
All right.
So we've got a pretty busy agenda. We're going to go into a little bit more depth about the subject matter in the video, right?
Right. What's going to happen today is each of the city councilors will come up. We have Q&A with events that have occurred over the city the last year. What's going to be occurring here in the short term coming up, and then at the very end we'll have time for Q&A. So there'll be, staff has cards, so if you have questions you want to ask of myself or city council, you can ask for a card from a city staffer and they will give you it, and just write down your question. And I just want to make sure we highlight again, we went through it very quickly on the video. The city's 8 priorities are housing, transportation, environment, parks, culture and identity, city infrastructure, economic development, and communication and engagement. With that, we'll start the Q&A off with Eric and I talking about housing. We're going to sit.
So this is all the city of Tualatin does?
Yeah, that's just a small thing.
Small things, okay. So let's talk about housing costs for a second, Mr. Mayor. Housing costs in this region, as we all know, are pretty high these days. 37% of Tualatin's households are cost burdened, paying more than 30% of their income on housing. In a survey last year, 25% of Tualatin's residents rated the availability of affordable housing as excellent or good, and 50% rated the variety of housing options as excellent or good. How can the housing market be improved, or should it?
That's one of the biggest challenges that City Council faces. Transportation and housing is what we hear about the most. In our community feedback survey, those are the 2 things people see each day is, dealing with traffic and congestion. We're dealing that with Tualatin moving forward, and with some state dollars to fix some items here in the city. Housing is that big challenge that every city council is dealing with in the state. Houses in Tualatin have become very unaffordable for working class families. We're all seeing houses going up right now that start at $800,000. The days of finding a house for $400,000 to even $300,000 are pretty much over in Tualatin, and that's what we're trying to figure out. How can we get builders to build those types of housing that people can't afford? The married couple or the couple who's just starting off in life, their very first home doesn't need to be a big single family house. It might be a townhome or a condo or a cottage cluster, kind of style. And so we're working with the development community and revising our zoning codes and SDC structure and our comprehensive plan to be a little bit more flexible so that, with the land that we have left that's developable, that we can build these types of houses.
Very good. Let's talk about some specifics.
Okay.
Give us an overview of the Planbeck Gardens affordable housing development.
This one I'm very excited about for 2 things. One is, so SEPA is Community Partners for Affordable Housing. This is the very first permanently affordable housing development in Tualatin. It's located right down Boones Ferry Road here to our left, heading towards Wilsonville, be on the left side of the road. You see a big patch of dirt. It's being built right now. They broke ground in June of last year. Their goal is ideally to finish it by this year, if not early next year. What I'm excited about is it's 2 buildings and approximately 116 units, a majority of which are 2, 3, or 4 bedroom apartments, which is rare right now. And this is what Metro has been looking for. It's affordable housing for families. There's a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, there's there's housing for singles and couples, But those families that are looking for somewhere, a permanently affordable place, there's not a lot of choice, and SEPA has made it happen with the Metro bond money that, was approved, that we're gonna have that here in Tualatin. And what's also nice is, it's on roughly 4.6 acres. About an eighth of an acre is gonna be a common area children's play area. So it's gonna be a little park that people can relax in, and there's gonna be a community center also in there. So it's gonna be a very nice place to live. We're also building across the street from it are 2 parcels of land that we bought for future parks. And there's gonna be a little pocket park on the side of it that we bought. So it's gonna be a really nice place to live. And we're working with TriMet to get more bus service, so more transportation for those folks. And my tie to it was Doug Planbeck. It's named Planbeck Gardens. Doug Planbeck was a longtime volunteer and the treasurer of SEPA, and he lived down the street from me. And sadly, he passed away at the beginning of COVID from pancreatic cancer, so he never got to see this built. But back when I first got voted in as a counselor, Doug was in my ear all the time about why doesn't Tualatin have a facility, and we finally got it done, but we got it done too late for, Doug is not here to be able to see it.
He was a force of nature.
Yes, Doug was.
Indeed. Autumn Sunrise is a subdivision. Tell us about this phased development.
Right. So right around SEPA is that Autumn Sunrise, again, down near Boothbury Road, down in what we call the Basalt Creek area. Lennar Homes is building approximately 400 homes, 80 of which are going to be townhomes. So we're kind of excited about that. As Eric just mentioned, it's about a 4-year plan. So they're building north to south, about 100 units a year. They have set aside a chunk of land, about 4 acres, for open space. It's not just going to be super dense housing. There's going to be some green space in there. And the first few houses have already been sold and occupied.
Wow, that's progress. The commons on the Tualatin River apartments sound like a perfect place for people who like to trail walk.
That's for sure. For years, people have been living here for a while. The RV park of Portland, everyone's like, what's going on there? Just sitting here. And it just took a while for the owners of a property to build those apartments. So they're from studios to 3 bedrooms. And what's exciting there is behind it was the last piece of the river trail. That would connect from the library where it starts all the way to Browns Ferry Park. And so once the developers had built the infrastructure for the apartments, they had that commitment they would finish the trail, and it's done. So you can walk from the library all the way to Browns Ferry Park on this trail.
Is there a future for the Norwood Apartments, or is that development not going anywhere anytime soon?
It's going somewhere. So anyone who's lived around Norwood Road, the Know Our Norwood campaign, we all lived through it for quite a while. That last year, a developer submitted 3 applications to develop a multi-floor apartment complex. The neighborhood was quite upset with that idea, with the amount of traffic that would result from that. So it went to the our Tualatin Development Board, and they voted against it. They didn't like the plan. It came to City Council in June, and we got through the Q&A process of going through the applications. Once we were done, that took, 2 hours? We took a break, came back from break, and the applicant withdrew the application because they saw it wasn't, the writing was on the wall that it wasn't going to go well. We now have a new developer, Mr. Ken Allen of the Heitman Allen Group, who is working with community members in the area. And what we're excited about is he's listening to the community, and he's listening to our development ideas, and he's envisioning townhomes and cottage clusters. So it'll be a circle of townhomes. Inside of it will be cottage cluster homes, all at that not super affordable level, but way cheaper than a single family detached home.
Wow, good news there.
Yeah.
All right, we've covered housing. Now it's time for transportation, and I would like to invite the council president, Councilor Valerie Pratt.
I'm scared for this.
Welcome to the kids' table.
We planned it that way.
Sure.
First question. After 5 years, the $20 million bond program, Tualatin Moving Forward, wrapped up at the end of last year. The program was guided by 3 priorities: enhance traffic flow, improve neighborhood traffic safety, and provide safe access to schools and parks. Did it succeed? And are you satisfied that this was money well spent?
Yes, it definitely succeeded with the 3 priorities you mentioned. And with input from the entire community, we were able to complete 36 projects, and they were spread out through all parts of our city, and that was intentionally done. The city, on a $20 million bond, we were able to spend $24.8 million on these projects through selling the bonds at a premium and putting the money we weren't using along the way and earning interest in it by savings. The projects that I wanted to point out that were special, I guess, or the biggest projects were the traffic signal at Martinezzi and Sagard. That affects me. And I didn't think it was a great idea, but it actually is wonderful. I think the Garden Corner curves where that was dangerous and there was nowhere to walk, so that got straightened out, and then a multi-use path got put in there so you can connect from Ibot Park down into the neighborhoods. The Boone's Ferry, there were a lot of improvements along Boone's Ferry, especially for bike and ped, and repaving and a traffic signal to make it safe, flashing traffic signals. And then the most recent project were the lane configurations heading east on 12th and Sherwood Road towards I-5. And our studies show, I think it was supposed to save 6 minutes from Boone's Ferry to the freeway in the morning. So that was a big one.
Good idea. Okay, Tualatin's in the process of updating its transportation system plan. What needs to be considered as priorities in that updating process? And what role do you see City Council playing in formulating that update?
The Transportation System Plan is a long-range document, and it covers future investment in our auto, freight, bike, transit, and pedestrian travel throughout our city. And the priorities it needs to focus on are the projects, policies, and programs to meet the current and future needs for our city. The current plan we have is 10 years old, and not only do we need to update it for our more current needs, but we need to update it so we can get federal and state funding for these projects. As far as City Council, Councilor Gonzalez and I serve on the Community Advisory Committee for the Transportation System Plan as representatives of Council, and then we bring back to Council updates on what's going on. Our hope is that we will have this adopted by the end of this year. Oh, one last thing. Anybody can go online if you want information or to participate to tualatintsp.com to get more information.
You're happy with that, Mayor?
I'm certainly happy. Again, traffic.
Yes.
What's going on with Herman Road? Have those improvements really helped?
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know. I'm a biker, and so if, before when you biked on that, you had a nice bike lane, and then it disappeared.
Whoops, gone.
And there's some truck traffic that goes down there, so it was a little scary. So now that's been, there have been improvements on the sidewalks, and that bike lane's been completed. This is from 12th Road to Teton, where the improvements were done. And then a turn lane was put in, street lights were put in, and then there were stormwater upgrades also. And I want to give on behalf of the city and council and the mayor a thank you to all the businesses and people that were along that path during the construction, because it was a little disruptive, but now it's great that it's done.
It's over.
Yes.
It's done. Tualatin does not exist in a vacuum. Regional transportation issues and challenges impact Tualatin. Take tolling on state highways as an example of what impacts local cities. A lot of local residents were not in favor of tolling on state highways in any way, shape, or form. I think that goes without saying. But the legislature still hasn't figured out a way to augment or replace the gas tax to pay for road improvement and construction. Did Governor Kotek make the right move stopping the tolling project on I-5 and 205?
Well, I'd say our council, our mayor, and our chamber, and a lot of people in our city say yes, she did, including myself. Mayor Bevanek and I have served on several transportation and other committees where we spoke out about the council's unanimous agreement that tolling was not good for our city. And the city staff, chamber, and council joined us in testifying to the state subcommittee that Governor Kotek appointed to study transportation or tolling. Our concerns on tolling in general, or major concerns, were the effects it would have on our local congestion, the diversion of tolling, especially because a lot of it would run past Meridian Park Hospital and a little dangerous. Then Mayor Bielostowski's here, and through public records, he found that, shared with all of us, that over 90% of the revenue that would come in from tolling would be just going to pay off the debt or for the administration. So very little was actually going to go to help our roads. It seemed very inequitable for lower income households. And another big concern we had is the gas tax. The city gets 20% of every dollar. We would get nothing. So we understand that as a city, we understand the gas tax revenues are not going to cover the cost of the roads in the future, but we want to continue to advocate for a method of funding that doesn't increase congestion, is equitable, and is cost effective. I also wanted to mention that our chamber has been super involved with this, and they're still continuing to track this because ODOT's not saying that tolling's gone away forever. It's still one of the options they're leaving on the table. So you can go to OregonTollingUpdates.com to keep track of what's going on.
This is an issue still to be determined.
Yes.
I couldn't help but notice that there are at least 3 county commissioners in the audience today. How does it work with the regional aspect of transportation?
It works very well, especially on the tolling issue. The cities of Clackamas County and Clackamas County itself coordinated and worked as a team to lobby on behalf of the anti-tolling message, and came up with study after study, testimony, involvement in different committees. And I think it was critical in getting the message to the governor that tolling in its present form wasn't going to work and that we have to reevaluate it. And cities working with counties made it happen.
Excellent. Let's turn our attention to the environment. Can one little Oregon city have an impact on global challenges with potentially catastrophic consequences? How will the Climate Action Plan help Tualatin deal with the outcomes of climate change?
Well, I feel that one of the most important roles we play on City Council is to make decisions that will have a positive effect in the long term for our community, and the climate is certainly a huge concern. As you mentioned, there are potentially catastrophic consequences, and that means we can do whatever we can and as soon as possible to make a change. For example, in our Climate Action Plan, the study found that with no action, Tualatin at the turn of the century will have a climate very similar to the Sacramento Valley, where I was just at. And that would mean that instead of our historical average of 6 days average over 90 degrees, it would increase to 60 days by the turn of the century.
Whoa.
And we can't totally stop that, but with using our Climate Action Plan, we can reduce that at least to under 30. So it's a big change. Back to your question about our little town, it not only makes an effect on our community, but it also sets an example and is a precedent for other entities. And going back to like George Bush and the 1,000 Points of Light, if we all do it, it makes a big difference in the end. So that's where I think we kind of stand on it. And the plan itself has specific strategies and actions that can help with, the effects of floods and fire from the rising temperatures in these atmospheric rivers that we're going to continue to deal with. Right now it's in draft form, and it's on the city's website for anybody to look at, and staff is working on a plan for implementing actions going forward.
Very good. In Western Oregon, it seems almost oxymoronic to talk about water, but Tualatin and other cities face tremendous challenges providing safe drinking water to their residents. Tualatin has adopted a water master plan required by state law. How will that plan impact water users in Tualatin? Will they see an increase in their water bills? Sorry about that question.
That answer is yes. We did adopt a 20-year master plan last year, and it analyzed our existing system, projected future demands, and then it identified the capital projects we need and the costs required to maintain our water system. Also, we just signed a long-term, I believe it's 30-year contract to continue to have Bull Run water, which our residents want and voted on. And unfortunately, though, all water providers are going to increase their rates going forward. There's no way to get around it, no matter which water provider. But Tualatin has decided to make these increases on an even level instead of just
Boom.
bumping it up and doubling rates for people like other utilities have done recently. So
We're not going to name any names.
no. Sorry, KJ. But even with these increases, Tualatin's rates are going to remain the lowest in the metro region.
Good news there. Curbside composting has become very popular in the last several years. Will Tualatin continue to work on giving its residents the opportunity to compost food scraps along with yard debris curbside?
Yes, we piloted a curbside composting program last year with Republic Services, and it allows food scraps and certain items. Everybody should have got a flyer, but like coffee filters and pizza boxes that can go in your compost bin now. And this means it doesn't go to the landfill. It actually gets, composted, which is great. This is for our residents in homes or houses, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes. And Republic Services has offered this for our community through the end of '24, and then council will look at this in '25 and the cost to make a decision going forward.
How about hard to recycle items? How is Tualatin working with Republic Services to get rid of those stretchy plastic films in bags, clamshell containers, textiles, fluorescent light bulbs, et al.? Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, the items you mentioned, Tualatin residents can now opt into the Recycle Plus program with Republic Services. This is an opt-in program, so people have a choice. It's an additional $2.50 a month on their bills, and then customers call Republic Services for pickups, and you can kind of share with your neighbors. And if you have it picked up at curbside right now, it's $9.25. Again, you have to contact Republic Services directly. Their number is 503-981-1278. And then what I'd like to add is that, as I mentioned, this is only available for certain residents. And so the council continues to encourage Republic Services to figure out a way to have this available for our people that live in multifamily housing.
Gentle persuasion.
Gentle. Difficult,
Very.
but we love to see that.
Well, Councilor Pratt, thank you for filling us in on all of those subject areas. We appreciate your being here.
Thank you.
And now, Mr. Mayor, we're going to be talking about the Employee of the Year. He is
A video.
A video. We have a video. Okay.
Yep. So Councilor Brooks couldn't
Oh,
join
that's
us
right.
today. She's enjoying some well-deserved time off in Hawaii. And I asked her, don't you want to get up at 4:30 in the morning and watch this live? And she said, no. So here's the video where we prepared with Councilor Brooks. Councilor Bridget Brooks is not able to make our event in May, so she kindly agreed to chat with me ahead of time. Welcome, Councilor Bridget Brooks.
Thanks for making the time. I'm excited to share a bit about the city's progress on parks. A lot happened this past year.
Indeed. Residents passed a $25 million Parks and Trails bond in November of 2022, so this past year was really the first year of the program. Can you tell our viewers a bit more about it?
The vision of the bond measure is to connect parks, paths, and people. Funds will be spent on 6 different categories: trail connections, a new river access site, athletic fields, upgrades to existing parks, natural areas, and play equipment.
As I understand it, some projects are already underway.
Yes, playgrounds have already been upgraded at Tualatin Park, Juergens Park, and Ibach Park. Plus, lighting at Community Park was updated with energy-efficient LED lights that are much easier for sports teams to use. One of the program's bigger projects broke ground at the Lake of the Commons a few weeks ago, too.
The long-anticipated Veterans Plaza, if I'm not mistaken. I saw the fencing go up earlier than expected. This project was inspired and formed by numerous community members over the past few years. It's exciting to see us get to this point. What are some of the highlights of this project?
First, over 900 people from the community were involved in making this happen. The city considered 8 different sites, and landed on the Tualatin Lake of the Commons. The plaza will include public art, which is amazing, signage, seating areas, a reflection pool, and native plants. It will activate this side of the lake in a brand new way. The plan is to have construction substantially completed by this year's Pumpkin Regatta.
Switching gears a little bit now, there's one park that will be getting an entirely new design. What's the plan for Las Casitas Parque?
Stonebridge Park is a small park nestled between houses in an East Tualatin neighborhood that residents refer to as Las Casitas. During the pandemic, we asked community members to help us reimagine what the park might look like. Ideas include new park features, enhanced pedestrian access, and a new name. Last year, the City Council voted to rename the park Las Casitas Parque after hearing that feedback from the community. The city has dedicated American Rescue Plan dollars for the project, and we are close to having construction plans ready to go. The next step is to rebuild the park.
Well, Councilor Brooks, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining me here in the studio, and we'll miss you in May.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Mayor Bubenik.
It's a little bit of Hawaii outside today. I don't understand that.
You didn't have to go that far.
Right. Okay, now let's get to the Employee of the Year. Charlie Rollins cannot attend, but you're going to tell us what Charlie did to earn the award of Employee of the Year.
So every year, the employees of Tualatin nominate and vote on Outstanding Employees of the Year. That is then whittled down and reviewed by a selection committee, and then the finalists are handed over to Charlene Lombos, our city manager, for final selection. As the Employee of the Year, you're recognized for that achievement by the city staff. You also get to come to City Council and be recognized there. And your picture goes up in city offices, and you get a paid day off.
Whoa.
All right, which is big for Charlie, because Charlie is with Facilities and Fleet, and as Eric mentioned, he couldn't come today, and what's particularly notable about Charlie is he's one of those guys in the operations that carries a pager still. And he's been known over all these years he's been with Tualatin. It doesn't matter if it's night, day, weekend, holiday. If he gets paged, he shows up. And that's what everyone knows about him, is that his dedication, no matter time of day, day of week, if he's needed, he shows up and he makes it happen for the city of Tualatin.
Does he get a free parking space?
No.
Oh.
Well, we don't charge him anyway, so.
I would like to call Officer Brian Miller to the stage, please. He is our Police Officer of the Year. Thank you thank you for the award, or congratulations on the award.
Yeah, thank you.
You're our school resource officer, right?
Correct.
And what do you do as a resource officer?
Well, in Tualatin, we have two school resource officers. The school resource officer position is kind of a triad type position. You're kind of a law enforcement officer, a counselor, and a law-related educator. I primarily work out of the high school. The other SRO works out of the middle school. And then we have 6 other elementary schools and a private school within our jurisdiction that we're responsible for. So, we provide safety and security for the school, but we're there really to build positive relationships with kids and families in the school community. We handle incidents in the schools that rise to the criminal level. That doesn't necessarily mean that we try to make everything criminal. That's the nice thing about working with the schools, closely with administrators, is a lot of the issues that come up within the schools, working with families, we're able to take a restorative approach to dealing with those incidents. I'm involved in some community organizations that focus on drug prevention, alcohol prevention, mental health. I'm also sit in on our threat assessment teams. I get the opportunity to get into get into different classrooms and speak on various topics. We run a summer camp for middle school kids, formerly known as Great Camp. We renamed that since Great kind of went away. So that's our Tualatin Police Department Summer Heroes Camp. So anything essentially that is related to kids, we try to focus and put our efforts towards that. So
I'll bet you're glad we don't have a university in Tualatin.
yeah.
Nothing to do. What's your favorite memory of being a police officer in Tualatin so far?
You know, it's kind of corny, but for me, I've been a police officer for 24 years, and I've worked with kids a long time. I worked in the schools in Grants Pass, and when I came up here in 2009, and I was able to secure a school position again, I think that's my favorite memory. You know, I think I was meant to work in the schools and work around kids. I live in Tualatin. I coached football last year for the high school, and this year I'm actually helping out with girls golf as well. So.
You're a busy man.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to the Police Officer of the Year, we also have the 2023 Supervisor of the Year, who is Sergeant Eric French. And the 2023 Police Department Staff Member of the Year is Property Evidence Tech Denise Taplin. Chief, I'm sure you're proud of all of them.
Very much so.
Congratulations, officer. Would Counselor Kristen Sacco please approach
The bench.
Now I'm nervous. I wasn't before, but
We're going to be talking about culture and identity. Fair enough?
yep.
Tualatin now has an Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Access Committee, IDEA. You are the council liaison to that committee. How would you describe its work to this point? Productive, needs improvement, not sure yet.
I would describe it as very productive. The Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Access Advisory Committee, or IDEA Committee, was established last year as an advisory committee to the City Council. 12 individuals were appointed by the City Council to serve staggered 3-year terms. We began meeting in December of last year. The committee was formed based on the recommendation of the Equity Committee Planning Group, which met between June and December of 2022. The IDEA Committee is currently working to create a mission and vision statement, which is setting the stage for our future work.
Excellent. The city of Tualatin hosts a variety of special events throughout the year. So do other community groups and organizations. Give us a preview of what's to come in 2024.
There's a lot to come in 2024. The West Coast Pumpkin Regatta is probably our most recognizable event, drawing upwards of 30,000 people to Tualatin from around the world.
30,000?
30, no mistake.
Elbow to
There's not an
elbow.
extra zero there. Yes, 30,000. This year's weekend begins on Saturday, October 19th, with the main event happening on Sunday, October 20th. Another special event in Tualatin is Viva Tualatin, which is a celebration of arts and culture. This year's event is taking place at Community Park on July 13th. Another hugely popular event is the Tualatin Lights Parade in December of every year. This event began during the pandemic but has become a much beloved winter tradition. And then lastly, the Pride Stride is a community organized event happening on June 22nd. The stride is a 1-mile loop around the center of Tualatin, and it celebrates the LGBTQ community.
Everybody get that in their calendars? You've got it all down, right? Good.
Lots going on.
Lots going on. Every February, the residents of Tualatin look for hand-blown glass hearts. It's a big deal. They have been scattered throughout the Tualatin parks and trails, everywhere you go. Tell us about the hearts and how the search went for them this year.
Yeah, so this year's hearts were created by artist Timothy Jacquet of Olympia, Washington. The hearts are hidden by the Tualatin city employees who look forward to hiding the hearts just about as much as the community likes finding them. People who find the hearts can either take them home with them or they rehide them for others to find. This year's sponsors were the Hayward family and OregonHealthcare.gov.
They're collector's items.
They are. Hold on to them dearly.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. And now, Councilor Octavio Gonzalez is going to talk about city infrastructure.
Wonderful. Thank you
Welcome.
very much. Thank you.
The city of Tualatin has engaged in a number of major projects over the years, but the city also has to maintain a lot of assets. Tell us about those maintenance efforts. We're talking about streets, trees, sidewalks, transportation safety.
Absolutely. As you know, I'm a landscaper, so I love talking about trees. So our city has done a very good job in creating a program for the Sidewalk and Tree Program that was founded in 2001. And those programs, the trees get assessed for any kind of danger for the sidewalks. Those projects get completed between December and April. The other item that we've come up with is we have a wonderful preventative program for our streets. Our city staff and team goes out and checks on the streets, makes sure that if there's overlay that needs to be done or slurry to be applied to the streets, that gets done very efficiently. That gives our streets a lot of life for a much longer time, saves on the budget significantly. The Tualatin Moving Forward program was completed. That was a phenomenal program that completed many projects. That program is now permanent, and so homeowners and community members of Tualatin can submit to have small projects included in a list that can potentially be done for going forward.
Does the city get enough credit for its maintenance efforts?
I believe so, yes. I mean, if you drive around and you look at our community, everything looks so vibrant and healthy and wonderful. So I believe the quality of life is phenomenal, yes.
And the trees are in good shape.
Yes.
Trees are in good shape. One of the things that City Council very much appreciates from the city staff is we get emails from residents, and it's like glowing reports about city staffers who went above and beyond. Heard one yesterday, Tom Steiger, our parks maintenance director. A tree fell from a city park onto a resident's fence. The resident called. Tom had it taken care of in a day. Had the tree taken off, had the repairs done. So that kind of, that commitment to service, residents see it every day here.
Back to the major projects in Tualatin, Councilor. The city now has a multi-year capital improvement plan. What does that mean and how will it work? What kind of major projects are in the future?
Wow, this is a big question, but I'll try to be slow just to stay on schedule. So the capital improvement plan was put in place. It's a multi-year plan that helps us stay in budget and prepare for the future. Some of the things that are included in that program is water, our roads, stormwater, and some new technologies that will be coming in.
A big part of the infrastructure in Tualatin is the library.
Absolutely, that's our favorite.
It's a magic place for a
Yes.
grandfather with a 5-year-old granddaughter, I can tell you that. A lot of people visit the library every day, every year. What's new in 2024 at the library? Do city councilors ever check out library books?
We do, of course. The library is it's a place that gives us a lot of love to our community. We had the carpet replaced last year for our library. We had new equipment put in for the maker space, which is an incredible space for youth to go in there and experiment. We repainted several of the conference rooms and the teen room as well. The last thing is we also replaced the self-checkout stand. If you've been there, you can just get near that machine and it scans your books out for you. It's phenomenal.
Don't go near with a book.
That's right.
So you're very happy with the library.
Absolutely. It's an amazing place to be.
It's a great community asset, isn't it?
And one thing that's interesting, they now have this thing called the Library of Things that you can check out. So what's really cool is you can check out anything from a sewing machine to board games. And our librarian, Jerry Ann, said one of the most popular items is the board games. People checking them out, trying out the different games and bringing them home and doing things with their families with it.
The old-fashioned board games.
Old-fashioned board games.
They're not dealing with their thumbs.
Nope, no digital stuff.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you very
for
much.
joining us. Now we're going to talk about economic development with Councilor Maria Reyes.
Thank you. Oh, this is weird.
Could you sit up a little? No, just kidding.
I'll stand.
Over the past several years, there have been a variety of requests for changes to the Tualatin Development Code to support economic activity here in Tualatin. Tell us about some of the code changes and updates that have made a difference, like more food carts.
More food carts? Yes. Well, last year the Planning Division completed a project to update zones in the Basalt Creek area to create greater flexibility for landowners to develop their property in Basalt Creek based on employment and market trends. We also the Planning Division also created a bundle of code updates, so several codes that were updated, responding directly to requests from commercial businesses. The council received information in April this year, and another topic that has come up lately is the food carts, and that's part of our feedback that we got in 2020 to our community. We did a survey, and that was one of the most, respondents really want food carts in our community. So those are things that we're doing right now.
Do they want any particular kind of food at the food carts?
No, but the more the merrier, I say. I like to eat, so anything.
So there's
We'll
a wide
see.
variety.
We'll see what people propose.
Good, okay. Is Tualatin urban enough to have a need for urban renewal? I'm kind of kidding there, but tell us about some of the urban renewal efforts now underway in Tualatin.
I don't know if we are big enough or not, but we're here and it's coming to us. The Southwest and Basalt Creek Development Area was established in 2021 and includes 717 acres of employment land, zoned almost exclusively for commercial and industrial. This urban renewal area focuses on implementing identified infrastructure projects that are coming. You'll see them over 30 years. The Core Opportunity and Reinvestment Area, or CORA like we call it sometimes, was established in 2022. The plan's vision is to document efforts to strengthen our social, cultural, environmental, and economic vitality in central Tualatin by funding projects that improve property values, eliminating existing and future blight, and creating an active civic core. Some of the things that we also have seen, we're also doing as an urban renewal area, funding for areas that these areas, the funding for these areas are coming from tax increment, so there is no tax increase. However, it would take time for funding to accrue for both projects. The Basalt Creek area will start accruing funds first, but the core area won't see any fundable projects until after 2030.
Does the existing business community support these efforts?
Yes,
Very much so?
very much so.
Oh, good. So let's talk about Latino Hispanic business networking. I'm sure that's a subject very near and dear to your heart. Over the last few years, the City of Tualatin has partnered to support a group of Latino business professionals and those interested in entrepreneurship. How's that partnership working out?
Really great. The group meets on the first Thursday of the month, so today, in the Tualatin City Services, beginning at 9 a.m. The city provides meeting space. We also facilitate the agenda, and we typically provide coffee and bread. And that's a common thing in Latin America where you have coffee and bread and you chat with people. So that's kind of where the model came from.
Do we give enough support to our Latino community?
I believe so. I think that I'm standing here because that community has supported me and put me here.
It's a vibrant community in Tualatin.
I would say our community has been engaged more and more. They're more outspoken. They feel comfortable coming to me. I see them in our businesses. I see them. We talk every time we see one another. We also have Betsy, who is one of those individuals that connects with them. She's our community outreach. I think our community in Tualatin feels included, and part of our community. They come to Viva Tualatin. They participate in arts. We're very active.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to talk about communication and engagement with Counselor Cindy Hiller. Counselor, welcome. Approximately 20% of the Tualatin community speaks a language other than English at home. Most of those folks speak Spanish. How does the city accommodate Spanish-speaking residents?
That's a great question. I think it's really important, as we've talked and heard from other people, about the diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in our community. Today, people could, if you were attending, request access to interpretive services, and I believe there are some here today. So I think that's one really amazing thing that the city makes sure happens not only here at big public meetings like this, but at all of our meetings. That's super important. We've heard already from the video about the Somos Tualatin Facebook page. And we've talked about the opportunities that the library and other groups and some of the cultural celebrations too. So, and I would encourage people who speak languages other than Spanish to also speak out. I think there's a really, we have some Pacific Islander populations who speak Chucky, like there's different things. And so I encourage people to reach out to the city if you feel that you'd like to be engaged and you need some different sort of accommodation.
Tualatin kind of mirrors Washington County in its diversity in languages. Very much so. Well, getting the community to engage in public policy isn't always the easiest thing to do. Sometimes it's too easy to do. How is the city of Tualatin working to engage the community in a positive, productive manner? Do city councilors in Tualatin get stopped at the grocery store by residents and ask questions and get general feedback?
Yeah, we don't shop here anymore.
I go to Sherwood and I get stopped in Sherwood.
No, I'm kidding. I think that the previous councils that have worked on the 2030 visioning for our city have really made a priority of having the statement is to be connected, informed, civically engaged, and to embrace our city's diversity. And it is very obvious that our city wants to be engaged. We've heard a variety of topics talked about today that, you know, our community has come to us, they come to council. We have the citizen involvement groups. We have all sorts of different things that happen here in our city. And I do believe that councilors make themselves accessible for that. The mayor certainly does with his coffee talks, which is kind of almost how Plant Gardens, you know, so many things that have happened in our community are because that our councilors and our mayor are accessible.
What's the best way to approach a city councilor if I'm a citizen?
Fred Meyer.
Well, gosh, I think that we're all just humans. Like, hello, my name is so-and-so, and are you so-and-so, and please, how do I get involved in something? Or do you have a question about this? Right now, I mean, I was at a community event recently for the volunteer celebration and heard all about a different way that maybe the city could support the baseballs that are going into neighbors' yards and causing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage. So I think that there's opportunity for conversations different ways. I think some of the concerns are certainly, you know, the metro fees, some of the things that are happening with tipping that's being I think that we hear from our community and other topics that have already been shared today. So we just want people to be honest with us and care. And there are some things that we don't have control over. And I think that it's fair for us to have that conversation with the community. Sometimes we are just the pass it on folks.
Safe to say that civil discourse works best. Good, they're nodding their heads, they're saying yes. Be civil. The City of Tualatin conducts the National Community Survey, which is a statistically valid survey on the livability of Tualatin. The last one was in September of last year. Have things changed since the first survey in 2010?
Well, I think we have continued to see that people like to live in Tualatin. People trust the government. They trust that when they come and speak to us, that we will listen. They believe that Tualatin is safe and welcoming. They value our police department and the engagement with our partners in that way. You know, we have heard continually traffic. It's like that, a different letter word. It's the T word in Tualatin, right? And we know that. And again, sometimes we're compressed in an area And sometimes we can look at it the other way, that it brings great vibrancy to our community. So there's a couple ways to look at that. And people have said continually that the quality of life is high, and we continue to talk about the economic development and growth. And I think that that's, we're all living on these roads, and that's a fair thing for us to continue to talk about. And we'll continue to see that in surveys.
We're in it all together.
We are, yes.
Mr. Mayor, anything to add?
No, it's Cindy nailed it right on the head that the feedback we've got, which changed over the years, is dealing with traffic and dealing with housing. Those are the two things that is no surprise to us and that we are focusing on in the year ahead.
Councilor Hiller, thank you for your report. We appreciate it. And with that, Mr. Mayor, we've come to the end of this State of the City, more or less. We're going to encourage all of you to participate in the City of Tualatin's public policy. That's a given why we're here today. I'd like to thank all of you for coming. And now it's time for the mayor to answer your questions, if we have it, and we do.
All right. Before we do the questions, I want to thank you all for coming in this morning and taking a slice of your life to share in this State of the City. I also want to do, of course, some public shout outs to a lot of electeds as Tim is leaving the room here. So I want to recognize that Washington County Chair Harrington is here, along with Roy Rogers. I saw him here earlier. There's Commissioner Roy Rogers. Mayors Callaway of Hillsborough is here. Tim Rosner just left the room, and Mayor Rory from West Lynn is here. Thank you very much for attending.
Clackamas County Commissioner Paul Savas.
Yep. Clackamas County Commissioner Paul Savas is here. I'm getting to Christine, don't worry. Sheriff Massey, you might have seen Sheriff Massey. She had to leave a little earlier. Jason Snyder, he's running for Washington County Commissioner, former mayor of Tigard. TVF&R was here. Of course, TVF&R always gets called away. It never fails. Clackamas County Commissioner Paul Savas is here. Metro Councilor Garrett Rosenthal is on the wall over here, as is Christine Lewis over here in the beautiful red dress.
Okay. Thank you all for coming. We have a question.
Oh, Crystal, I didn't see it. And Crystal, how are you? Crystal is on the TTSD school board.
Welcome all of the celebrities.
One thing I don't want to be is on TTSD school board. I'm happy as mayor. I give her credit.
A question from the audience. What can be done to bolster traffic safety and compliance in Tualatin?
We've put, what's interesting is we've put those little speed readout mechanisms on fixed ones in numerous streets where we get reports of people exceeding the speed limit. We also have a mobile camera that can be put out. And we also have these cool little sensors that the police department will put out and hang in a tree. And you really don't see it, but it takes readings of speeds over time, and then the police department can evaluate, is this really an issue in this area? It gives us terrific feedback in that. And then our motorcycle police officers are very good at, especially Officer John Vanderbrake, of when he hears of a community concern of maybe speeding or other issues in an area of Tualatin, all it takes is a call to him, a call to chief, and he'll hang out there for a couple, 3 days to find out if there is an issue. And if he sees something going on, he'll add it to his routine to make sure as he's driving through town, to make sure that the traffic laws are enforced and that safety is enforced. I think the last time I talked to John, he writes like 3,000 tickets a year, something like that. It's 1,500. What's outstanding about Eric, no complaints. Not Eric, about John. John is a phenomenal police officer, and even though he has all these interactions with people, he's always polite, cordial, and super responsive to folks' needs here in Tualatin.
And we have one last question, Mr. Mayor. What projects are you most looking forward to in the coming year? What's on your bucket list?
The bond projects, the parks projects. Really looking forward to the River Access Park being built out. And then as I mentioned before, we bought 2 parcels of land across the street from SEPA. And those are going to be more of a nature park, a relaxation park, because it was Metro bond money to help us pay for that. So it's going to be a nice area for residents of Autumn Sunrise and SEPA to go into, as well as people down in southern Tualatin to relax. And then this riverfront park that is going to replace the old boat ramp that we have in Community Park It really doesn't meet ADA standards anymore. It's aging, so we're going to have an outstanding feature that's on the river that gives finally access to residents to the river that we don't have right now.
Wow, good year ahead. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for hosting this. We appreciate it. Thank you all for attending. My thanks to PVC TV. Those guys, you guys did a great job this year. And it'll be replayed on TVC TV. We'll let you know what the schedule is. Hi, Mom. Thank you all for coming. Have a good day.